security and safety and crime
Oldham
and drugs
can't see
and
this
cleanliness
unless you
and
let him.
hygiene and germs. There's another thing, germs. Where did this sudden fear of germs come from in this country? Have you noticed this? The media constantly running stories about all the latest infections, salmonella, E. coli, hantavirus, bird flu. And Americans they panic easily, so now everybody's running around scrubbing this and spraying that and overcooking their food and repeatedly washing their hands, trying to avoid all contact with germs. It's ridiculous, and it goes to ridiculous lengths. Fear of germs, why these f***ing pussies? Hey, where's your sense of adventure? Take a f***ing chance, will you? Besides, what do you think you have an immune system for? It's for killing germs. But it needs practice. It needs germs to practice on. So listen. If you kill all the germs around you and live a completely sterile life, then when germs do come along, you're not going to be prepared. And never mind ordinary germs, what are you going to do when some super virus comes along that turns your vital organs into liquid shit? I'll tell you what you're going to do. You're going to get sick, you're going to die, and you're going to deserve it because you're fucking weak and you got a fucking weak immune system. Now, goddammit. Hey, let me tell you a true story about immunization, okay? When I was a little boy in New York City in the 1940s, we swam in the Hudson River, and it was filled with raw sewage, okay? We swam in raw sewage, to cool off. And at that time, the big fear was polio. Thousands of kids died from polio every year. But you know something? In my neighborhood, no one ever got polio. No one, ever. You know why? Because we swam in raw sewage. It strengthened our immune systems. The polio never had a prayer. We were tempered in raw
There we go.
Oh, there it is. And let's go ahead and let Oldham back in. Dang it.
Oldham didn't
Poor
get to
Oldham.
see or hear that.
I pushed him out because I'm pretending like I know what I'm doing. It's horrible. 3D Politics. There you go. There's Oldham. Once again, 3D Politics every single Monday night right here on Facebook Live. That's right, kids, with David Vann, creator and editor of Sooner Politics, the online newspaper committed to informing and mobilizing Oklahoma's expanding spectrum of conservative political voices. Also, an expert on Oklahoma state government, professional advocate for those needing mental health care, state committeeman for the Tulsa County GOP. Find him at SoonerPolitics.org. And, of course, David Oldham, founder and scholar at ConstitutionalGrounds.com, an organization teaching liberty and promoting the restoration of constitutional governance, political leader, educational speaker, former state of Oklahoma elector, United States Electoral College. Find him at ConstitutionalGrounds.com. And, of course, me, Tommy McKay, your fine host, I swear, for your verbal Viking. I swear I'll just say whatever I want. And so here we are in 3D Politics. Now, let's get to this chart that literally shows us, I forget because I don't do numbers,
Absolutely.
I do rhythm.
And Oldham is
what does this chart show us? Because I had a lot of fun during the break. I have no idea what we're talking about.
Right. In Oldham, you jump in here on this. Basically, on the big mega scale, whatever the website is, with the super high traffic, there's only so many servers globally that can handle that kind of architecture. Now, one of them happens to be about 50 miles from Tulsa. It's up in Pryor, outside of Pryor at the Mid-America Industrial Park. That's where Google's biggest server farm is. Okay. Mm-hmm. And by the way, for those of you who care, Oklahoma is subsidizing Google by giving them electrical rates below market prices.
Wait a minute.
Yes, they are.
Okay, so we're giving a sweet deal to them.
There are two electrical power producers right there in Mid-America, and they are getting their power direct from them.
Yeah. Okay. So. Yep. Now, here's the deal. Amazon, Now, that's not up in mid-America, but Amazon is the big boy, no doubt. They're just about double the second place, which is a division of Microsoft called Azure. All right.
Yeah.
And then Google Cloud, which again, up here in Pryor, yeah, that's third place, just 9%. Now, this list here of what, 7 or 8 of them, that makes up 80% worldwide. The other 20% are all small, little, less than 1% or so.
What most people need to understand is that when they order their web service or their hosting service from somebody, usually those people are reselling one of these 9 their service.
Yeah.
So they don't actually have their own services. So I have my web service through Fat Cow, and they probably go through Amazon. So if Amazon, the big tech people hate me, they could probably knock me off, despite everybody else's objections.
Yeah. Now, Oracle, which was, I remember one of the leaders 20 years ago, it said, you're going to do your computing on the cloud. It's just a matter of time. Oracle's been left in the dust. They're 2% here.
Man, I hate to I don't want to be rude, but I am, because I'm the verbal Viking. Like, if we're not going to refer to this chart for a second, kill it.
Well, right. I just was showing you where Oracle is. You see where Oracle is?
Hold on, because I can't stand to not look at your beautiful face without a giant screen. There it is.
Okay.
So I don't mind to go back to the chart because I'm slow on numbers. I don't get the chart. I saw big blue lines and they were pretty. It looked like a girl curved in. I like that. Okay. But I was like, I don't know what the chart meant. It meant nothing to me.
Well, yeah. And now I'm going to put it together for you. All right.
Go back to the chart. I don't care. I just want to know what the chart means.
No, I went through the list there. You've got.
But I don't know. Okay.
Huh?
Go ahead.
Okay. So Google.
I don't know what the chart meant.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. Okay. This is $100 billion a year business, and there's very few players globally. So that's the important thing to understand about this. And so what I want to say here, that server farm up in Pryor is so expensive that their property tax is so massive, Pryor Public Schools gets absolutely no state aid because their county property tax is more than enough to bump them off the charts.
No wonder I don't understand, because everything works counterintuitive. If you actually do well, you get punished. And if you don't do well, then you get help. And if you get too much help, then you get punished.
Well, right. Now keep in mind.
God, it's like being married.
Okay.
Anyway.
Now keep in mind, the only other scenario we have in Oklahoma like this is the big wind farms in western Oklahoma. You've got about 25, 30 school districts. They get no state aid because the property tax on those massive wind farms. We're talking multi-billions of dollars. Okay. So just need you guys to understand that.
I'm with you, buddy.
Right. So for Parler this weekend was estimated to have a market value of about $1 billion all of a sudden. They were that huge. I tell you what, the big tech five couldn't have done this worse for themselves, and they realized it, and so they had to kill Parler. They had created the perfect storm for Parler to turn Facebook into another MySpace or another Zanga.
Well, what you're talking about is the federal government coming behind Facebook and Twitter to pick them as favorites over Parler and others. They're commiserating to defeat in what they're pretending is a capitalist market when really it's a fascistic collective.
Well, that would be true if there's government intervention in here, but no, there's not, other than the Section 230 immunity from lawsuits.
Back me up, quick.
Okay.
There's got to be government intervention here.
Well, I'm not quite following, but there's government intervention in the sense that they are granted liability-free
That's just said immunity.
business. Immunity, I guess is the right word. They're granted immunity so that they do not have to be. The laws against libel and
Defamation, slander.
defamation and things like that do not apply to them. But they have so departed from being a platform that they are publishers and editors, and they should be totally held up.
Right. And so, Tom, this is a government favoritism by omission, by lack of enforcing the rules.
Okay, good enough. Yes, because it's arbitrary enforcement of rules. It's selective perception of when you want to say something's an outrage and when you want to say it's not. You can teach passages of the Bible that are reality for 2,500 years. They say, well, that's violence. Well, okay. I guess it is,
Yeah. So what I'm saying here is Parler was doing fine this weekend. Now, even with, all of Amazon's server capacity, Parler was still knocked down several times. They were still crawling. That's what Oldham could probably explain better than me, denial of service hits. There were all kinds of malicious attacks trying to bog down their servers.
Parler. Now I'm going to get into this in just a minute, but the number of people that moved to Parler over the past week is outrageous.
Yeah.
Okay. The what I call the Fexit, the Facebook exit or the Twexit, the Twitter exit, and all of that is so huge right now that some of these places are just and then you got big tech trying to ruin them, that they are inundated, and I've been watching it all week. So just understand, you don't need denial of service with Parler right now.
That's true.
And for anybody who doesn't know, denial of service is a hacker trick where you overload a server so that they can't provide actual service to people.
If you're a man and you're married, you know what denial of service is.
Okay.
Just as easy as it gets.
Tom's on his game again, folks.
Wrong way of thinking about it. The denial of service is that you get so many requests for service that you can't actually provide.
That's exactly right.
That's the exact opposite of what you're talking about.
Several offers. That's
well, yeah. There you go.
It's
Boy, I don't want to touch that, even though I do.
Of course not, man.
All those who pretend they want service.
That's what gloves are for. Damn it, man.
Yes. Yeah. So Oldham makes a good point. And if you were Amazon and you were to say, oh no, this wasn't an attack, then you're saying, oh my God, Amazon, your web service weren't as good as we thought because they're still crawling even when they're on your precious anointed servers.
This attack
may not have purchased enough bandwidth to be able to handle.
No,
just so you know, there is a purchase limit at times, and they could have exceeded that. That is possible.
There could. The sources I checked with said that the reason why Amazon is so big is they have this dynamic agreement with you. You get billed for what you use.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so
it's like emu. That's what I hear.
There you go.
Well,
you only pay for what you need. That's what I hear.
Well, no. Then the idea is that if it all of a sudden pops up that you need it, they provide it, and then they charge you afterwards for it, which is good for everybody.
Yes.
But the thing is that obviously with Parler, it didn't quite happen that way. But mind you, it wasn't because of denial of service attacks from hackers. It was just from the overload of people who wanted to be on there. And trust me, throughout DC, that was, among other things that I heard, one of the themes was, are you getting off Facebook and going to Parler, and Gab and MeWe and some of the other places.
These are
But that was the discussion. I mean, you go to the lobby in the hotel.
Yeah.
That was the discussion. If it was in the elevator, if it was on the street, that was all part of the discussion.
you know.
Yeah. Tom,
You know, at 8 p.m. we got Ken Reddick coming
Yes.
up, and
So-
we're gonna talk. We're gonna talk.
I haven't given my report yet.
You better sit. You get under your virtual desk, you children. Point is, at 8 p.m. ish, because everything's kind of man ahead of his time. He's got to be late every chance he gets to bring the average out of it. We're gonna bring Ken Reddick on to talk about the mayhem of the just the electoral meltdown. But first, did you know this thing with Parler is so huge? Bill O'Reilly is actually writing a new book called The Killing of Parler.
Yeah. Killing
Yeah,
Parler.
go. I got you on
It
that.
ain't gonna
Okay.
happen. It ain't
And,
gonna happen. Somebody
oh
will pick
my
him up.
God. Yes, Scotty. What? Get off my back. This engineer is like being married with this intercom system. Thing is, though, listen, you're listening to 3D Politics every Monday night ish, 7 p.m. ish with these guys ish. Everything is ish, and here we are. Tommy
Ishy.
McKay, your fine host, with David Van, creator and editor of Sooner Politics, and David Oldham, founder and scholar at constitutionalgrounds.com. There's a thing.
The scholar title.
Oh, I gave it to you. I saw it tattooed on your hat. It's a joke. No, I gave you that, Tyler, and people argued with me. They said, "Where did you get a scholar?" I said, "I say," and they said, "Well, you're stupid." I was like, "Okay,
Yeah.
where'd you get that?"
Yeah. Tom, I want to say this morning I listened on a national news channel.
I can
Tom Burrell-
change it, Oldham.
I think his name's Tom Borelli, who is oftentimes on he's on Just the News, which is part of Real America's Voice. And he was pitching for like 20 minutes on this news show. It was like an infomercial. This other social media called Clout Hub. Okay.
Okay.
And where I just got done hearing the vice president of Parler said, we don't want any bots. Okay. We don't want them spying on what people are typing and censoring it even before they hit the click button. Because that's what happened to me this weekend. I literally was typing something sarcastic, and Facebook, before I even sent it, was on my mobile device. They said, what you're saying is incorrect. How scary is that? They are in my phone.
If I
Do
can,
you have a screenshot of that per chance?
I wrote an article. It gets worse, guys. It gets
All right.
worse.
Mike, if I could just say, then
Yeah.
I swear I'll just shut up, which is a lie. But the thing is, they sarcasm is literally by literal and analytical definition not saying something that is incorrect. That is literally
Okay.
Deliberately
the
so.
definition. It's the definition of sarcasm. It's like saying something that is literally not true.
Okay, Tom, this you'll love then. This is sarcasm. What I was typing on my phone is this. The loving masters of our society have banned Parler.com because Parler won't suppress conservative values in our loving and tolerant society. Okay, I was being a sycophant. And that's when they
good to
popped
know.
up. Independent fact checkers that lead story say this post has false information to help spread.
Well, Oldham's question is, did that happen before you press send?
This is what I'm telling you. Okay.
Yeah,
Let me tell my story. Let me tell my story. Okay. To help stop the spread of false news, a notice will be added to your post if you decide to share this. I hadn't even pressed send. Okay. This was just on my phone. And so I clicked post anyway, doggone it. And then they post up about this content. Parler is an American microblogging is social networking, and then this is where it gets even worse. Jameson Fott, respected blogger in Muskogee Politico. He said, Dave, do you see what they did? They covered over your stuff with this warning. Now, all I did was post a text, right, with hyperlink. No pictures at all. Facebook said, this photo may be sexually suggestive or show partial nudity. There's no photo. They were defaming me. They were trying.
I think you have a lawsuit. You have a lawsuit.
Yes.
Oh my gosh! And I thought it was clickbait for me to look.
Yeah.
Damn it! These guys have got it on both sides.
Now, mind you, for the conservatives, you know, the frosted over, you know, this post has partial falsehood in it. Is
Out of
partly
context.
false, and
Yeah.
and missing context is their favorite.
Best.
Missing context.
Which means our side of the story.
I'm sorry, because you don't get the context doesn't mean that I'm missing any or that it has any bearing on my post whatsoever.
I was literally parroting the Communist Party line because this is communist censorship. And what they're doing here, this was not by mistake, folks. When they said this might have nudity, what they're trying to do is defame me in my own social circle.
Oh yeah,
Right.
That's
right.
important.
Right, which they
That's
don't
what
know
happens when they deplatform you.
The
They
problem
can
is that Tom and I might actually look at
That's
something.
the problem, Oldham. Don't steal my routine. Don't you dare steal
But
Well-
the rest of your social circle needs to grow up. Just
Well, I know. Look, I know I got friends in low places, but not all of
Here I
them.
am, baby.
Okay.
Here I am.
So, but this is what they do. They try to defame you and harm your reputation by whatever means necessary.
Right.
But first, they knock you off to where you can't respond. Then they can have open season. And Alex Jones. has
I
talked
wonder
about
if they're
that.
going to put up stuff that says like he might be promoting, you know, drug use or you know, illicit gun violence or something like that. The stuff that
Yeah.
I put up because I'm, you know, promoting, you know, the abolition of any law against
Man, this show is a
or
total buzzkill.
drugs.
Yeah.
So I mean, this
Yeah.
is bad. The whole thing is bad. Everything's
Yeah.
bad.
So
come
yeah,
on.
I just
I mean,
want
Hopefully
to let you
Ken will
guys
check
know that is on the front page of Sooner Politics under the
Okay.
heading
All right.
Tech Giants Ban Rivals at Social Media. And then down there you see right in here where this is the false information. Again, I hadn't even posted it.
True.
What
All
I'm
the
telling you,
information about the false information is true.
Yeah. So what I'm telling
wondering
you folks is
how they've already had a fact checker in time past
Damn.
to fact check what you're just
Yeah.
creating.
Yeah. Yeah. Me and Oldham.
And I have to say this.
Say-
David, you are in good company because
Yeah.
the Babylon Bee has been fact checked and you know blocked how many times? You know, that's good company. Babylon Bee
Yeah.
has all sorts of stuff that is satirical and obviously false,
Yeah.
like everything they write.
okay, get this.
Well,
I
now-
just, it's sarcastically, albeit, I said that Facebook, I referred to them as our loving masters of our society, have banned Parler because Parler won't suppress conservative values in our loving and tolerant society.
My wife knows when I'm full of crap too. So
You know,
Anyway.
I'm just saying, you know, how can they not agree with me? I just touted them and called them loving and tolerant.
We are at 8:01.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to bring our guest in,
bet.
and it's sad for me because I had like 3 other jokes plus the whole thing about whatever you just said. So anyway, but listen, so there's that chart. We just saw the killing of Parler. And in my opinion, because I'm an optimist, I think we're going to die in 10 years instead of 3. What an optimist. But we are going to talk about the mayhem in D.C. that went down, what was on the 6th. Is that correct?
Yes.
And we have pushed so hard into this. Oldham, I apologize, but we're just going to have to bring.
Don't worry about it.
Oldham has his own story, but we're going to bring. There he is. We're bringing him in, connecting to.
Man,
Oh, look at there. Oh, wow. We've
Oh, he's got
beaten him
music
in.
as well.
And the timing on that is just fantastic. It's like Lindsey Graham is in charge of it or something. Oh, there you are. So you've joined us. Let's see if we can hear him.
Hey guys,
isn't
how
he
are
the
you?
guy with the
God, I can hear him.
where are the Viking horns coming out of your head?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
The Buffalo Boy, the Buffalo Horns.
You know,
Okay.
recently I said to one of my kids, I said the idea of suggesting that what happened a couple of days ago at the Capitol was like an armed insurrection is like is similar to likening the 2009 depression with I'm sorry, recession with the 1929 depression. It's like
Yeah.
you just
That's a good point.
the children have no idea that up
No.
to school used to be uphill both ways. Ken Reddick, former mayoral candidate, we appreciate you showing up, hanging in there. And now the reason we're bringing you in is because we have two, count them, double mint twin, two eyewitness accounts. David Oldham and Ken Reddick were both at this the event of violence on the Capitol on the 6th, and so we're going to get to hear firsthand from both.
They both went there as emissaries of GT Bynum's administration.
Who's a comedian now, Deborah?
Yeah.
Oh,
Officially.
Ken, did you hear what GT Bynum had to say today?
No,
No, I
said
didn't.
that because I missed it. Yeah, this was good. Yeah, a van. He covered me.
He got on KRMG and said, I am so disappointed that my Republican Party has been infiltrated with such a terrible influence now.
Wow.
Yes,
I
he's
thought he was
so
talking about
concerned
me.
about his Republican Party, don't you know?
Yeah. Wow.
Okay, so I want to say this. Give me a second, guys. Mayor Bynum, I feel your pain, and I'm asking you, please join me at the Tulsa County Republican Convention. We have got to establish what are the values of the Tulsa County Republican Party, and
Right.
you need to be there.
Yeah.
Is he
I would agree with that.
familiar with the GOP platform? Does he even know what it
No.
says?
Yeah, there's no way.
About unelected bureaucrats. Anybody wants to go to Tom E. McKay on Twitter, scroll just a few down, and you'll see I continue to repeat my refrain of the picture of part of the GOP platform that talks about unelected bureaucrats like Dr. Dart, who are carrying out telling me how I'm going to have Thanksgiving and Christmas. He's an unelected bureaucrat. Again, the philanthropic administration where I don't get any, I have a no voter ID that counts for anything but the philanthropic. Anyway, Ken Reddick, let's let him talk. What the hell? First, Oldham, you get here every day. First. In fact, Oldham, you can back Ken Reddick up because you guys went independently. I don't even believe you guys knew each other were going.
No.
And, and then now, here you guys
We
went.
could have hung until the cops came out.
So isn't it true that I told you guys to go and Trump called me and asked me?
Yeah.
Anyway, so tell us, Ken Reddick, what was your experience? How did it go down?
It was great. It was just like any other Trump rally. A lot of patriots, a lot of flags, a lot of veterans, a lot of good vibes. And I spent most of the morning just walking around, visiting all the monuments, documenting the event. And I shared with a lot of people, asked a lot of people questions. I actually did see the Viking guy remove his pelts in the middle of, I believe it was 14th Street. And then he held up a sign that said Q sent me. So I was intrigued. I went up to the guy and I said, that's quite the statement. Who is Q? I'd like to know if he sent you, who is Q? Because we're all wondering, you know? And
Ken, that's a lie. I did not send him.
yeah. Good job.
Fake news is everywhere, kids. So you actually talked to the guy with the helmet?
Yeah, shortly.
Oh,
Couple
nice
minutes. I
job.
just wanted
Nice
to know.
job.
I asked him where did he get all the pelts, you know, and then I told him about a friend that does trapping, and then I asked him about his sign, and we just had a short conversation. But he seemed like a real, just I don't know, charismatic kind of guy. But he didn't seem like he was there to start an insurrection. He was
He's a
just standing in
camera
the middle.
whore. He's a
Yeah.
camera whore. That's what he is.
There's no reason to make
Yeah.
fun.
That's true.
Google, and Amazon.
Uh-oh. Oldham's got business coming in.
Sorry.
I got to say, Channel 8 would take, 2 seconds of talking to the horn guy into a feature presentation. So, that's pretty good. You actually got right there. But you were there.
Yeah.
So, did you get close to the Capitol? And what about all the violence?
Yeah, I did get pretty close to the Capitol. About as close as about 50,000 other people. We went and stood on the lawn. I documented the whole thing. I was on Facebook Live my entire march down the National Mall. I kept showing shots of the entire group marching down Constitution. It was well planned out. There was nothing in Trump's speech that incited us or inspired us to go marching down to the Capitol. I knew days in advance what parts of DC to avoid because Antifa would be having a rally. DC police confirmed our fears of where to stay away from, where they had noticed other rallies happening to oppose ours. And then when I was walking down the National Mall, we were actually approached by a guy that was wondering why we were mentioning Antifa, another buddy of mine who was also Facebook Live at the time. And we went together. So we were walking down the National Mall. A guy runs up to us, asks us what we're talking about Antifa for, but in a more threatening way, like, why are we mentioning Antifa?
Yeah.
And then, telling us not to talk about Antifa and stuff like that. And by the time we were at the front of the line, by the time we walked up to the actual Capitol, they're at the circle where Constitution ends. And I think that's 6th Street that runs north-south. But I did see Capitol Police removing barricades. So I started to walk that way thinking, there's my route up. I can get up through there because I didn't want to climb a wall where everyone was standing. So turns out, I don't know why he was moving the barricades, because as soon as he did that, a lot of people charged through, and it seemed like about a half a dozen to a dozen Capitol Police officers did follow them up, in about a half sprint speed all the way up to the stairs where the scaffolding and everything was.
This is important. Was that
Okay.
the west side of the Capitol or the east
Yes.
side, Supreme
The
Court?
west side,
West side.
west side.
Gotcha.
where
Yeah.
the
So
inauguration stages.
It's the mall side.
Correct.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
The National Mall side, where
Correct.
where they host the inauguration.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
So they run up, and a dozen guys take the scaffolding where I think it looked like a camera mount, national televised camera mount
Yes.
scaffolding. They mount
is.
their flags up to the top of that.
Yep.
Everyone stands back, and the Capitol Police form a wall. And it didn't seem any different than anywhere else that we had ever stood and just in a large group waiting to hear some information. It was about 12:30 p.m. there. And we knew that the joint session was going to start at 1 p.m. And we knew they would go alphabetically. And we knew that the first state that would probably be challenged would be Arizona. So all this news is spreading all around the crowd. We're all very just,
Okay. Ken, one
yeah.
more thing. Trump continued to speak till after 1 p.m.
that's
So
true.
Trump
Yeah.
was still holding his speech, and his last comments at the end of the speech was, "Now everybody march peaceably to the Capitol." So that breach happened
He
before
did
Trump
not
even
use
told
the-
anybody.
As a freak, I will say he did not use the word peaceably, to my recollection.
Peacefully, yes. Yes, I have the recording. He said
the word
peacefully. He
peaceful.
said peacefully.
All right.
I might be losing you.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
Come on, Scotty.
we need more power.
We've got
I can't do it, Captain.
got him more power.
I can't do it, Captain.
I told you
I
last
need more time.
episode. It was literally last episode I needed more power.
There he is.
God.
Sorry, guys.
His job.
All
All
right.
right. Transporter works.
Scotty. What?
Last thing I heard you say, David, was Trump's speech ran till
A little after 1, And
Right.
you were there before one. There was already a breach of the Capitol. And the last comments Trump made in his speech, he says, I want you to march up here with the group and peaceably and patriotically go to the Capitol.
Yeah.
Remember,
He said,
peaceably and patriotically.
We were at the front of the line. My buddies, we all traveled together. We wanted to have good seats, you know, where we knew everyone would be waiting. So we started walking down the National Mall. We didn't have a good spot to watch the president anyway. Could barely hear him. We didn't have view of a screen, one of those jumbotrons. So we just decided, you know, we don't have good seats here. Let's go get some good seats down there. So we were at the front of that line that was marching down the National Mall, the smaller of the two groups. And by the time I got down there, they had already removed the barricades. And a lot of people say breach the barricades or hopped over. Now, when it was 100,000 people that wanted to get in, that skinny little walkway bottlenecked, it wasn't going to do it. That's when you saw a bunch of people hopping over a fence. But by that time, there were already well over, my guesstimate would be 5,000 to 10,000 people had already walked up that pathway and were up on the patio where the inauguration speech takes place.
Right.
But the barricades have already been removed. I witnessed Capitol Police officers removing the barricades and then allowing people to follow through.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I want to say I got somebody was on the east side, and there the barricades, the outer barricades, were pretty far away from the Capitol, almost to the street that separates the Supreme Court building from them. They've
got a lot more stairs over there too, so it makes sense to barricade that area.
Yes. Well, here's what happened. This somebody, actually, I think it was on Alex Jones' broadcast. He said there was a minister, and they never identified who the minister was. But he was negotiating with Capitol Police on the east side. And they're saying, we're going to end up having people out here on the street. And this is a busy street. If you don't move those barricades, there's no reason we can't be at least halfway up the stairs. And they had about got this up. The cops were basically, okay. And it was just a matter of logistically, how are we going to do it? And some people got, some younger guys got frustrated, said, hell with it, we're going. And all of a sudden they just took off. But at the same time, rumor had hit the east side that they had breached the building on the west side. So that's what I'm hearing. Okay.
Yeah, I was on the west side as well, so I couldn't say what happened on the east side.
Yeah, Oldham, tell us in kind of the way that Reddick did his experience. You were where and what happened to you?
Well, I was for the speech, for working up to the president's speech on the ellipse, which is down from the White House itself,
right?
On Constitution Avenue. I was just across Constitution Avenue in the center of the ellipse, so I was right underneath the jumbotron.
Right.
Just back 100 yards or so. And so we had awesome sound and everything else. Some a speaker went out, and so it was a little harder to hear. I was exhausted. I've been up for nearly 48 hours. And so so I needed to excuse myself and go back and get some sleep. I listened to the whole thing on Right Side Broadcasting Network. I'll give them a plug because they're one of the few that actually broadcasted the whole thing.
Awesome.
And one of those that I heard whose name was bannered about along with OAN and Newsmax and things like that the entire weekend or the entire week. But but so I was there for a while, listened to some of the speeches, and then I went back to the hotel room because I was just a couple blocks away. I was up at 14th and Pennsylvania, which is just a couple blocks from the White House, from its address.
About as close as you can get right now.
It's about as close as you could get. We had to get through, get past snow plows, which were blocking the road, frankly, for our protection. There was a lot of rumor that the police were blocking down roads improperly and things like that. No, those snowplows were there for us
Yeah.
to keep people from driving through our crowd.
Our crowd. Yeah.
We were
That's what
having
I knew
our
to be
rally.
fair. Yeah.
And so it took us a little bit, but we got to our hotel. I went back to my hotel and I listened to the president's speech. And then my friends came back after that and we had a bite to eat. And then we started heading down. So we were
Mhm.
way late for all the fun. You were, on top of it.
Now, Dave, you can't.
And I call fun in quotes, but we were way late and everybody's streaming back the other direction.
Mhm.
And we're like, what's up? And they're like, it got too much. We're headed home or we're headed back or whatever. And so we did see a bunch of it on TV. And
Right.
what I encourage people to go back and do is get the CNN and the MSNBC video that they had at the time. What they were showing was views from outside the Capitol and inside the Capitol, inside the rotunda,
Mhm.
where you have the statuary hall, where you have all the
Mhm.
statues around of founders and famous people around the outside of the rotunda. Well, what you saw there was a bunch of people coming in, looking confused. Why am I here? You know what? Boy, I didn't expect to quite be here. Taking pictures and turning around and leaving. A
Mhm.
couple of guys with flags stepped over the rope barriers, the rope lines, and waved their flags around. No vandalism, nothing like that.
None. Mhm.
Tom, give me a second here to, I'm just going to pull up this map real quick so people can see what they're talking about. If you guys can see this here, this is the ellipse. If you can see my
Right.
mouse
Right.
cursor, that's just to the south of the White House. Now, if you go a little further past the eclipse, behind it is the Washington Monument,
Correct.
which is dead center of the mall. But here's what I
Correct.
want to show you. Here's what I want to show you from the Washington Monument. You've got probably a good half-hour walk, and that's
Yeah,
if there's
that's
nobody
exactly
in your
right.
way, to get all the way to the Capitol, get around the reflection pool, the Grant
Mhm.
Monument, before you even get close to any steps of the Capitol or the mezzanine around the south side. So
Correct.
I just want people to understand logistically, there were crowds on the west side here, which is normally what looks out all the way across to Washington to the Lincoln Memorial in the distance. And then on the east side, facing the Supreme Court, there's this big open area. And yes,
Mhm.
like I said, a lot of stages. Alex Jones happened to say his stage was on the north side
Yeah.
up here of the Capitol. And he said he was actually called by the White House and they begged him, get the people away from the building. And he was begging people to get away from the building. He said, we don't want another Kent State. That's a quote. He said, this is not us. This is not what we're doing. And he's blaming Q for this as well as Antifa. So let me stop sharing that. And I just
Well,
want
I'm
people
going
to
to share
see who aren't
something.
familiar.
Since you bring up Antifa, I want to share with you what actually happened. And so let me share my screen here and find it right here. And let me just play this part of the video here.
Is this your video?
Hang on. It is video that was taken in the crowd. It was not me, but it
Okay.
was taken in the crowd, and I became aware of it. So hang on, let
Okay.
me share it again. 'Cause I
Hey,
didn't
you
share
guys
the-
are listening to David Oldham with 3dpolitics.com. Go ahead.
Okay, hang on. Here we go. There, and I have to share sound. Sorry, I didn't have the sound shared.
This is harder than
Yeah.
look.
What you see is a guy right here banging on the glass, trying to break the glass. And unfortunately, it's not coming up on the video.
Hold it.
David, we
Hold it.
can't hear you, David.
Hold them.
Okay.
The audio
So-
too loud for us to hear your narration.
I am so sorry. Okay, so here's what happened.
We have no idea your
Oh.
narration.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So what you just saw was a guy banging on the glass
Mhm.
above the door on the east side.
Oh, the
Okay?
east side.
The east side. And he's
Yeah.
banging on the glass. What you hear from the crowd is Antifa, Antifa, Antifa. And then they tackle the guy who is trying to break the glass.
Ah,
My point is, and you can go to Daryl Simmons, who has co-hosted with Pat Campbell. Go to his Facebook page and you can find the video because he's posted. I'm going to work to share it, but the point is that it is video that was taken on the 6th as things were going down. People were saying it's Antifa. The guy's breaking the glass, and then people from the crowd actually tackle him, take him down, and that's what was in that video.
Mhm.
And I'm sorry if the sound didn't work. I don't know why, but
The
but
sound was
that-
just super loud. We couldn't hear your narration
Oh, okay.
over
Yeah.
the sound of it. We heard the sound.
Oh, okay. I couldn't hear the sound. So anyway,
so
that's what
kinda
was going on.
condense the two stories of the eyewitness's account. You guys were what, a half a mile away, a quarter of a mile away, and not in, you didn't no connection with each other, but
Right.
you both experienced that there was two different
Mhm.
kind of movements within the same general crowd.
Mhm.
Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah, my side had like the national anthem on replay. Everyone just kept singing. If it wasn't that, it was, Star Spangled Banner, the Pledge of Allegiance. It was just waiting. We knew what we were waiting for. We knew that they had broken joint session when they challenged Arizona. And to think that on the other side, all that chaos was happening while we were just patiently waiting. It became obvious that they wanted everyone away from the Capitol shortly after when they broke session and they were debating Arizona. That's when they started shooting flash grenades, tear gas canisters, and rubber bullets across our entire area.
right.
It seems like to me that they have afforded Trump less security at the Capitol that they normally do of other presidents. I can't imagine that 250,000 people would descend on Washington for Obama and they wouldn't have, had the National Guard
Right.
there. Right.
Well,
off the bat.
remember, Trump was at the White House. He was never at the Capitol.
Okay.
Only Pence and the congressional members were at the Capitol.
Yeah.
And so they did have some. It was weird, the security. It was, and
Mhm.
the way that they played it, that was
Mhm.
strange. Because
Yeah,
I've
it
been
really
in
was.
DC when things were cracking down. Well, 4 years ago for the inaugural, and there was a lot more police presence in a lot of different areas that there wasn't this time around.
Man,
Until
what do you got?
I want to commend somebody for something I never thought I'd commend him for. Alex Jones has spent most of this last weekend knocking down ridiculous conspiracy theories,
Oh, wow.
and that is awesome.
it's kind
Okay.
of like Roger Stone having to rein in the National Enquirer folks.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. Now, Alex Jones spent a lot of time yesterday pointing out timeline, and he said, there's no way that anybody attending Trump's speech was part of that invasion.
Mhm.
Logistically, it couldn't happen. And because the
Right.
invasion happened before anything was said by Trump, even
Right.
referring to a march.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
I felt like
So
I left early and I witnessed the tail end of the break-in.
Yes.
So
that's
Right.
exactly it, Ken.
Right.
So your account of this, Ken, really helps support that whole narrative
Yeah.
that I'm
Mhm.
hearing in other places in national news. Another
Yep.
thing, Trump never flew out of the nation, as it was said
Mhm.
last night. And as they said Friday night, that he got into a cargo plane and flew to Texas. In fact,
Right.
Alex Jones said the last thing Trump's going to do right now is leave the White House, because he
Mhm.
was afraid at that point they might not let him back in the
Let
White
him
House.
back in.
Correct.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Now he is planning a trip down to South Texas to observe the 400 and some miles that have been built of the border wall. So he does have that
Yeah.
trip planned for tomorrow. So,
Right.
but anyway,
There's so much to this story that has not been told, and that has been told wrongly. Then again, I beg you, go back to CNN and MSNBC on the morning of and look at their live broadcast. They were talking about chaos in the Capitol, and they were
Mhm.
showing people sitting on the edge of the reflecting pool.
Mhm.
yes.
They're of the Capitol reflecting pool. They were talking about chaos and the violence as people
Yes.
were walking in and taking photos in the rotunda.
At 9
Right.
a.m. At 9 a.m. CNN declared it a mostly violent protest.
And
Deborah Gist, look out.
I'm
Everybody's
on
coming.
tonight. Come on.
Yep.
Thank you. Good night, everybody.
Okay.
Deborah Gist, he's coming for your job. Look out. Everybody's
All
a
right.
comedian.
No. He's got to dye the rest of his hair dark
No,
and then
I don't know.
Yeah, get a little white streak. Yeah.
They're both pretty cute. I got to give them that.
All
Hey,
right.
everybody's listening right now to 3D Politics. I'm your fine host, Tommy McKay. You can find me at Tom E. McKay on Facebook and Twitter. And of course, I've got David Van, your editor and Sooner Politics, and also creator, the SoonerPolitics.com.org. Damn.
Thank you.
Here we go.
Creator.
Creator and editor of SoonerPolitics.org. Expert on Oklahoma State government. There he is, David Van. And of course, David David Oldham, founder and scholar at constitutionalgrounds.com, former state of Oklahoma elector, United States Electoral College. And tonight, special guest with extended version of the show, Ken Reddick, former mayoral candidate here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Both Oldham and Reddick were there at the Capitol, while me and Van held the fort right here in Oklahoma to make sure everything was way to go. Well, way to go, you guys, for being down there. It's amazing. I've always argued for years that the truth is a independent of perception, and yet look at Twitter and look at them go. I also noticed that Trump is now the minority voice. If Twitter and Facebook are accurate, and that Trump is a minority voice, that we don't want the Trump voice, then Trump is the minority voice that is being bullied. Really, Trump is being bullied by those that don't look like him.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the problem. And so it's all selective bullying is what the bottom line
Of course
is.
it is.
Yeah. Hey, Reddick, what's next for you? You've got the mayor race done, and I know you got to pay bills and take care of your family. Have you got anything else going on?
Currently, I'm just fighting bad reviews. It seems like I have to, man, every day since I got back. I got back. We took 2 days to drive back, and the first thing I was greeted with when I got back was a beautiful article by the Black Wall Street Times, where I was called a domestic terrorist. I felt like by the time I got to the end of that article, I felt like Nicholas Sandman. It was just. I couldn't believe the things it was saying. It said I used code talk and not neo-Nazi code talk. Anytime I mentioned the word globalist, I was referring to global Jews. It was calling me a white supremacist. It mentioned my business name. So I've been fighting cancel culture since I got back.
Sure.
So I'm just
Wow.
That's
Sounds
impressive.
like you need to hire Lynn Wood along with another friend of ours
Yeah.
who appears to have had similar issues from his visit to the Capitol, and has hired Lynn Wood for being misquoted and wrongly attributed. Well, properly quoted, but wrongly attributed when
Yeah.
it was actually somebody else's quote. So
My question,
I've seen.
Reddick, when they have to go bankrupt from the lawsuit, and you get to take ownership of the Black Wall Street, what are you going to do with it?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe start an incubator
Guys,
downtown Tulsa.
who let this
you know, the funny
optimist
thing
in
is-
here?
Yeah,
I think we need to restart Urban Tulsa. I miss that
Yeah.
magazine.
Oh my!
yeah, that'd be a good one.
Yeah.
You know, I read recently. I'm wondering if I'm being targeted. Honestly,
You wonder? Oh, my.
yeah,
Call me. I'll
I read-
get some counseling. Oh my God!
yeah,
Look down on your chest. See that round circle? That's a target,
yeah.
my friend.
That's a target.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's been pretty rough, but you know, we're holding up.
Ken, you know, as I said earlier in the show, Mayor Bynum's very concerned about what's happened to his Republican Party. Now, we've got a Republican meetings coming up here in the next month, end of February, or precinct meetings and county convention. Can we count on you to be a part of that?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Good.
In my precinct, I try to participate as much as possible. You know, help with the platform, and I'll help Mr. Westfall. He's our precinct chairman.
Okay.
You know, with everything you need. So yeah, I love taking part in those.
Well,
kind of
will you
activities.
commit to, along with me, to help GT Bynum to establish what the principles of our party are?
Oh, absolutely. I think
Okay.
that was probably the root meaning behind my entire campaign was
Right.
just to hold him accountable.
Yeah. Well,
Try to
I
rein
think
him
we
back
need to
in.
help him define what the Republican
Mhm.
Party is. After all,
Absolutely.
he's never been to a county Republican convention.
Well,
He told us
No.
he doesn't go.
It
Right.
did surprise me when he talked about something about how important it was that there was bipartisan support for rejection of the violence at the La-Di-Da. But when I ran against GT Bynum, he had no care for what partisanship was. He wanted non-partisanship. He didn't identify any labels of which side of zero you fall on.
Yeah.
Right.
So you know, we've got my problem, Ken, and I got a real bone to pick for you. This is a tough question. I got some fence work I need.
Oh yeah, you did mention that. Yeah.
And I keep telling my wife, but Ken,
You made the mistake of saying, Ken, when you have some free time.
oh,
No, I'll use that. I'm a contractor too, Ken. I love that
Yeah.
line.
so is it
Yeah.
competition after all? So no, I do actually need fence work, but the problem
Yeah.
I have is that any honorable fellow like you, is that I was going to make a joke against me, but it's a waste of time because I'm.
Well, you know, our mutual friend.
Van, hold on. What I was saying was, an honorable guy like you, Reddick, I don't believe we have time. I didn't run for mayor because I always wanted to be mayor. When I was GT Bynum was like, one day I'll be mayor. I can't wait. You know, like me, I was like, I don't want to be mayor. And then one day I was like, holy shit, we're all going to die if I don't get to be mayor. And then I didn't get to be. So I still think we're all going to die. And then Reddick comes along. And he's like, maybe I'll be mayor. I'm like, yeah. But then you're not. And so that's why I asked you last time you were on the show. See, I don't believe we have time to run a mayor in 2 or 3 years when one mayor decides he's going to try. We need a guy that wants to be mayor next time, starting now, talking now, all the time now, because you're up against Greg Robinson in 4 years or 3.5, whatever it is. He's already in. He's already in. Or you or anybody. Is what I know. It's going to have to be a regular.
We got to start today.
You get it now. No such thing as seasonal elections anymore. It's
No, you're right.
And I call it a good thing. I'm the optimist, boys and girls, because I'm the guy that says it's a good thing that the electorate is now more informed. You're listening to 3D Politics, your fine host, your verbal Viking, your perspicuous pirate of plunderer of conversation, Tommy McKay, right here. Also, of course, with David Van from SoonerPolitics.org, David Oldham from ConstitutionalGrounds.com, and special guest tonight, Ken Reddick. We are pushing it into the late evening. So, Ken, we hope to have you run a campaign. You've got a platform and a voice here where as long
Yeah.
as you're saying the right things, we'll say, way to go. You know,
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that.
but if you start saying, stuff that we don't like, we'll certainly mention that too. Cause I know
Yeah.
Oldham is. So anyway,
Oh yeah, yeah. I
Oldham
appreciate
has
the honesty.
we do have to get out of here at some point, but Reddick, if you got anything to add, I appreciate not only your efforts for going to DC and doing all the business there, but also your efforts of running for office. I've done it, and it's not easy. It takes a lot of effort.
Yep.
And people are like, oh, you got, it doesn't matter how small the politics are. There's threats, and that's what they do.
That's the truth.
And so, anyway, I saw recently a thing about they were arguing whether Nazi Germany, even though they called themselves National Socialists, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the thing I saw recently, I think it was on Facebook. So picture of Hitler, and they're saying, well, they call themselves National Socialists, and so properly people are saying, well, so socialism is bad because Nazis and Hitler are bad, but the socialists never liked that, and they come out of the woodwork. They're saying, whoa, no, he was a fascist. And the fascists are like, whoa, no. He's not a fascist. He's a socialist. So the socialists and the fascists go back and forth about how, no. Even though they call themselves National Socialists, that's not what they were. They were something else. So I got a question for the boys. It's a what do you call it? A word question. So a farmer has 2 cows and 1 duck. The duck carries a flag saying, I am a cow. How many cows does the farmer have? Van?
2.
2. Oldham?
No idea because it's not enough information.
Oldham. Okay, Reddick, play the game. What the hell?
Yeah, it sounds like 2.
But did you realize, even though that duck is carrying a flag? That's the problem we have, because Peggy from the Tulsa World Opinion page, she thinks that even though they were carrying Trump flags, she knows what they really were. Or otherwise. No, she knows that what they were was Trump, even though, I mean, it's ridiculous that because you carry the flag, they're going to force. This is the definition of a bigot, is that they force associate an individual into a group. You don't get to say, well, I don't believe this and I don't believe that. They say, oh, no, you supported Trump 2 years ago, so you are a bigot, my friend. We got to close it out at some point. Reddick, what do you got to say before we get out of here?
Support local businesses. It's going to be a hard season for everyone, and fight back against that cancel culture. The modern day brown shirts are out to get us.
Oldham, what do you got?
Hey, Broken Arrow is entertaining a new mask mandate. Councillor Parks is deaf to try to get one. Meet 19th of January. Location yet to be announced, but keep that in mind. Broken Arrow is the only place in Tulsa County without a mask mandate or resolution.
Nice. Yeah, it's a good reason to move there. And Van, what do you got before we close it out?
Well, next week we will find out what's going to become of this attempt to impeach or removed by 25th Amendment. You know, we could have talked about it tonight, but it's mostly speculation how stupid it is. We've got to, at some point, start drilling down on all the bills that were filed at the Capitol. We've got over 2,000. I'm going to need a lot of help. Anybody want to be a part of flagging ridiculous bills? Believe me, they're there. We just need help.
Yeah.
Yes.
We all need help with that. Yes.
So
please.
For the next 3 or 4 weeks, Tom, I'm going to plan a segment here where I can highlight some of the most ridiculous bills filed at the Capitol.
Good.
You don't want to miss it. Get a big bowl of popcorn. We're going to have some fun. It'll be entertaining.
Yeah, you know, Elon Musk, I finally got into some of him and his interviews, and one of the things he says is we've got to look out for he says laws are immortal. and there is what he calls regulation creep. And so we gotta. One of the things that 3D Politics has talked about is going through and removing old laws that are burdening our system. But as we get out of here, we are going to send everybody away. Unless you've got anything else to say, here it goes. Want to thank once again.
R2D2.
No, I made that sound myself. My noise. I'm a
Go.
Ken Reddick, thanks for being here. We hope to have you back again. Run for mayor. I think I will most definitely support you. Call me. I swear I do need fencing.
Okay.
Thank you very much. There he goes. David Oldham, founder and scholar at constitutionalgrounds.com. See him. There he goes. Thanks for being here, David. I appreciate it. And once again, of course, my amazing cohort, David Vann, editor, creator of SoonerPolitics.org. See him we'll see you again next week, David. Thanks for being here. And of course, I am your fantastic host, Tommy McKay, your verbal Viking and perspicuitous pirate, plunderer of conversation. We'll see you again next week, right here on 3dpolitics.com.